And I believe we're live. Cheers, everyone, for joining. Trying a solo stream tonight. Just myself. Kind of been a quiet Saturday over here. So I was like, you know what? Let's try to do a video just solo. See what happens. So kind of first time in this solo format. So I'm trying to check right now, like if my audio settings and stuff is good. So just I've got it double streaming just to hear. Sounds good. So yeah, we're going for it. Cool. All right. Well, yeah. Cheers to anyone who's joining. See the final comment over here. He already knows the protocol. Cheers, man. Yeah, we'll see what happens with this. But I guess first in the background we are jamming to something a little more chill, not metal at all. Just something I figured would work well in like kind of this environment where we're not trying to take away from what what I'm saying. But we got some more ambient music. This is Exit by Tangerine Dream. Been something that's been recommended to me a couple times in the VCLT community. So this is my first stab at diving into Tangerine Dream's discography, and so far I'm enjoying it. It's definitely very low key, and this is a lot more maybe synth heavy than some of their other stuff. So I'm enjoying it so far, but that's what's playing in the background for now. I believe we are on track 1, Q Mission. So the mission is engaged, and then it's what we're drinking. Cheers to anyone out there who's got a beer. Raise it up for me, I guess. This is Hop Gummies. What a ridiculous fucking name. And a ridiculous fucking piece of can art. It's a IPA from Sycamore Brewing. Probably one of the bigger breweries here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So they're bigger, but they also don't mind experimenting and just trying some wacky beers and such like that. I mean, it's a fairly sweet, fairly sticky, I believe New England style IPA. So it's good. If you're drinking something, let me know what it is. It's Saturday night. I'm curious what we're all imbibing upon. Let me pour this one out. Going for a good pour. So I will say I'm doing. Oh shit. That's fine. So we're doing this live stream kind of setting because I'm still relatively new to this whole YouTube thing. Like I started probably midway through 2021, so it has been over a year. But I started just making like YouTube videos on my phone and uploading from there, and God, it was awful. And since then, I have found this StreamYard platform. And this has been a great way to, well, first off, connect to the VCLT community, and because the metal one is quite vibrant and very friendly and supportive. So, cheers to them. But then also the StreamYard, I feel like, has been just an easier way for me to get content out and actually be, kind of in a comfortable environment to talk about music and the other things that I'm interested in. So it's been going great, and now that I've kind of like feel like more comfortable with it, I want to try to take a stab at maybe releasing more, regular kind of uploads, because I'm still trying to figure out the best way to like pre-record videos and do all the editing and everything like that. My computer setup is currently not up to par to be able to like do all these like masterful edits like someone like Rick at Dreadful Minutes could do. So I've been trying to figure out the best way to still like release content while I'm figuring out, how to make a good YouTube video behind the scenes. And I think this is the best way to do it. So it's year end of year-end time. Everyone's talking about their year-end list, so I figured I would join in and throw my measly list into the giant discussion. There's definitely going to be overlap of other people's lists and just even bigger lists, but I think there'll be a couple of bands on here that few people are talking about. So that's part of the reason why I'm making this. But hey, cheers, Brian. Thanks for popping into solo cast. How's the family vacation going? So, but before I launch into my list, let me just hop on a soapbox real quick. There we go. Uh, about year-end lists. So, previous years, I took them very seriously. You know, like I didn't have any platform like this to rant and rave about shit I was listening to, but I would make a list of typically like at least 30, sometimes 40, and sometimes 50. And I realized was kind of like starting to really shape my listening habits, where I wouldn't want to hear something unless it was like the newest thing of the week. And then as soon as it wasn't the newest thing of the week, I would leave it behind and not revisit it. And I it definitely worked for me in like my college years, because when you're in college, all you got is fucking time. So you got tons of just free time on your hands to just, you know, digest music and form opinions and feel blown away by all these amazing metal bands and stuff. But since graduating college into 2016, it's been just a slow decline for my ability to listen to new music, and I've been getting less and less from you know the dives into the new releases and stuff. I've been finding more copycats, or more just, oh, I've heard this before, or yeah, this doesn't grip me for that reason. And yeah, this is my kind of, I was just kind of burnt out on that style of listening. So this is kind of my first year of stepping away from trying to make like a big year-end list, and kind of just more try to consciously just listen naturally, and like um, tune into the voice in my head that's like, I want to listen to this random album that was released 30 years ago today, or I want, or oh, I should revisit this new release, versus the previous mentality was, oh, I have to revisit this new release. So I honed it down to about 20 albums instead. So I guess without further ado, we'll kind of dive into these 20. Um, I guess first, before uh, the year overall, I mean, like, since I was listening to music differently, um, it to me it didn't feel as strong, but maybe it's because of that, because I didn't dive in. It was one of those years where I did not find a album that was like perfect, 10 out of 10, where I could really see myself just looking back at a decade and be like, ah, this is a high watermark, for that decade. So we'll see. I mean, only time will tell, truthfully, for all of these releases. But there was still a lot of great music, and really still a lot of great music that I didn't get a chance to buy on physical media, or didn't get a chance to listen to the full range, to feel comfortable talking about it. So I guess let's get into it. So I got 20 here. The first five are more like just honorable mentions, if you will. Um, nothing nothing too crazy. Mainly, there's a split in here, a couple EPs, and just some music that I did not get the chance to listen to as much as I would like. So to start off the honorable mentions, let's talk about this Fulci and Fluid split put out by Night Shift Merch, actually. So we got two Fulci tracks, one Fluids track. I got this when I saw Fulci live here in Charlotte. I fucking killed it. Unfortunately, this was the only thing they were selling. No, I mean, not that I'm complaining, I guess, because it's still awesome music. The Fulci track "Lonely Hearts" and "Wonderland," which is one of those that's featuring TV crimes, so it's got some of this synth stuff in there, are both pretty good. And of course, it's about um, a Fulci film. I don't remember which Fulci film it's about though. The Fluids track definitely lives up to being Fluids. It's very unsettling and borderline disturbing. It's probably not as bad as some of the ones that you could listen to by the band, but it's still, you know, makes it kind of tough to get through. Cheers, Kellen. Thanks for popping in, man. Um, I know I sent this one to Brian. So, Brian, if you look, I'm interested to see what you think about this little split here and the Fluid side, because I know you've had an encounter with that band previously. So, first honorable mention out of 5, Fluids and Fulci. So, here, second one, we got Age of Apocalypse with Grim Wisdom. So, thanks, Brian. Thanks for joining in. So this one I picked up when I saw them live. They opened up for 200 Stab Wounds here in Charlotte, and this is one of those like just young bands, and it's always exciting to see what these younger acts are doing. And of course, they're on like one of those up and coming labels too, Closed Casket. So these guys, they're specializing in kind of a melodic metal, or no, let's say just melodic hardcore sound, because I wouldn't say metallic hardcore, but definitely melodic. And there's definitely some influence from the 90s. Like I hear some Life of Agony in here, maybe a little bit of early Typo Negative or Carnivore, and hell, maybe some Misfits too. This is fun. It's fun. I didn't spend enough time with it to really like kind of for it to click with me, but still a great fun album that I've been able to jam a couple times, and they kicked ass live, dude. The crowd was going crazy and doing some ninja karate moshing when I saw them. So honorable mention 2, Age of Apocalypse. For the third one, this is a local band that I definitely want to mention. This is Pazor with their album Ascension of the Beast, and these are local guys from like the Greensboro area. This is their debut LP, I believe. So it's more like straightforward, second wave black metal with a little bit of thrashy influence in there, maybe a little bit of melodicism. It's good. I would really recommend checking it out if it piques your interest. I'm interested to see what happens with this band in the future. One of their members unfortunately did pass away this year, which was part of the reason why I was like, man, I gotta check it out. It's this guy over here on my right, Mr. In Nazgat. He's North Carolinian. I don't know why I pronounced it like he's from Norway or something, but he passed away. So rest in peace, man, and thank you for the music. And let's see, one more honorable mention CD, and Brian, thank you for this one, man. We got Primordial by Telekinetic Yeti. Insanely heavy, and honestly, it should be in my like official top 15. This album, I mean, it's 2 people making this whole just loud ass music, man, and it's a fun, more like energetic version of like Weed Eater Sludge with a little bit of more stoner rock, like it doesn't have like the raspy like I've been drinking whiskey and smoking cigarettes for 30 years kind of vocals, but maybe more of like the stoner rock vocals. And there we go. We got a stamp of approval from Mr. Brian. I know he had the pleasure of seeing him live, and I hope to soon at some point, because this album is awesome. I mean, track 2, Ancient Nug, is sick. I remember thinking of the last 2 songs, Invention of Fire, Cult of Yeti. are both awesome too. It's just a fun wall of sound, and it's impressive that it's just two people making this. So, Telekinetic Yeti. All right, and then for the last one of my honorable mentions, and this is the EP from Primitive Man, Insurmountable. I got this one when I saw these guys live here in Charlotte. Bunch of good concerts apparently in Charlotte, North Carolina. Who would have known? Um, I mean, like any Primitive Man release, this shit is fucking just vicious and uncomfortable. Like it's not. This is not a fun listen. This is not something that I would just be like, ah, I just got back from work. It's a goddamn Wednesday. I just want a beer and some metal. I'm not gonna reach for this. This is like I don't know. I'm feeling some kind of demons, and I want those demons in sonic form to beat the shit out of me, and that's what this is. I mean, there's a cover of a Smashing Pumpkins song, "Quiet" on here, and you would never guess that it was Smashing Pumpkins, but super awesome. Opening track, "This Life" is killer too. And by the way, great pressing of vinyl from Closed Casket Activities. I'm telling you, great new label. Let's see, we got Rick in here too. Cheers, guys! Thank you all for joining in. Trying out the solo stream format and just see how it feels. So far, feels natural. So you guys are definitely helping. And yeah, I have done that pairing a couple times, Brian. Primitive Man on a Monday morning. I don't know if it makes it better or not, but it definitely fits the mood. Um, yeah, Rick, you and I are in the same boat with that one. Cheers to Brian for being our gracious benefactor for these crazy riffs. All right, so those were the honorable mentions. Uh, from there, I'm kind of ready to dive into my actual list, which written on paper ain't gonna mess it up. Thanks for doing that, Brian. Spreading the love of the Yeti. All right, so for my list, here we go. Top 15. I put this one kind of last. Just it's one that you would almost call a legacy band, and I mean they started in the mid '90s, but I feel like at this point they're at that status where they've surpassed their own creative fame and they could just coast if they wanted to for the rest of their career and be fine. Um, and I'm talking about Meshuggah with their latest album, Immutable. Um, yeah, this is their shit eighth or ninth album. I don't know, and to me, it's kind of a good it's a good return to form from the Violent Sleep of Reason, which I don't know if anyone like kind of liked that one. For me, Violent Sleep of Reason, it just didn't click with me. Like the singles just sounded like the most basic Meshuggah trying to copy um, you know, Bleed and Call Us as much as they could. But this one has a little bit more of that Meshuggah kind of unique songwriting style and just some killer riffs, like there's good written songs that kind of stand out from each other too, which I didn't think Violent Sleep of Reason had. I mean, like the track one, Broken Cog, is a good way to start. Uh, and then we really get going in track four into track five, Phantoms into Ligature Marks, with Ligature Marks honestly being my favorite song on the album. That's just got like one of those just insanely heavy Meshuggah riffs that it's not going like you know at you too fast. It's just very pummeling and crushing, like Behind the Sun from Call Us or Demure from also Call Us. That's one of my favorite albums by them, so might be why. And then from Ligature Marks, it goes into God He Sees in Mirrors, which is a fun ripper, and then They Move Below, which second favorite after Ligature. That one is more of a slow burn. It's 8 minutes, but it doesn't feel long for being 8 minutes. Um, it's got like a nice chill guitar interlude that really builds up into the actual boom hit of the song. So that's good. And then the rest of the album kind of doesn't peak as much as those two, track 5 and 6. But I Am That Thirst is ripping. And then Armies of the Preposterous into the final track, which is, of course, one of their signature, like, laid back kind of vibe songs, is a good way to end. So, you know, nothing too crazy, but still, I would say this is year-end list worthy, and I'm happy to be talking about it. Number 15. Um, so there we go. Number one of 2023, Bongzilla. That that video coming shortly on Brian Arkham's channel. So number 14, we got Night Hag with Phantasmal Scourge, and this was another band that I was able to see uh, in Charlotte. I'm telling you, bunch of great shows in Charlotte this year. Now these guys, these guys were honestly just insane to see live. But this is a fun fucking album and kind of underrated this year. I've not seen too many people mention this one. They're three-piece, like Death Doom, but it's not like Death Doom where it um, like just maintains one constant pace the whole time. It's not like just slow and plodding, and that's all it does. It's Death Doom where it's got some personality, man. It likes to get fucking autopsy, grimy, and it likes to go from like a slow, just like doomy part to just a fast, like more punky, as I said, like kind of autopsy, mental funeral style part, and it's just fun. It's got some really fucking awesome riffs on here too. Like track number one on here, Slowly Festering in Rigor Mortis. Fucking amazing song. Probably my favorite on the album. And it ends with one of these. That's how the song ends. It just ends with a burp after just a killer like breakdown. A band after my own heart. And then couple cool covers on here. We got Ghost House, which is a cover of Mortician, which is awesome. I mean, like, imagine Mortician a little more like just sludged out and doomy. It's fucking cool. And then the final track is a Necrophagia cover, Embalmed Yet I Breathe. Goddamn creepy. Track 2 on here, Phantasmal Scourge, is also pretty killer. Awesome riff on that one. And then, Degradation of a Putrid Soul is a good one too. And glad to see Brian's got Night Hag on there. Yeah. I didn't realize the EP was a Dead Alive parody. I have that too. I picked it up when I saw them, but I'll have to double check that. Well, I'm preaching to the choir with this one apparently. So glad you guys like that one. Here. From there, let me make sure I'm keeping in my list. All right, number 13, we got Bog Body. Like, this thing is fucking nasty. It's a Profound Lore release, so, and it's probably one of the more unique albums I've heard this year. Like, it is a two-piece band that is only bass and drums, and the bassist, of course, is the vocalist, and they play like just this sludgy, dreary, just death metal. But it's just impressive and just incredibly unique to hear for just bass. Like, it's more bass and drum driven. Like, both instruments get a chance to shine in this album, and I mean, I think they really do. Killer album artwork, by the way, too. Look at that. That's fucking awesome. I think that guy who does Mortiferium's album covers. But both instruments really get a chance to shine, and it's just very interesting to hear like what a band, you know, decides to do when they're using bass as like the driving force, as the instrument that pushes the music forward and hooks you in to actually pay attention. I was just real curious to hear their execution of that two-piece sound. Um, let's see. I mean, the first track, "Paralytic Pit of Swallowed Graves," fucking awesome. But then, "Cryonic Crevasse Cult," the title track, fucking crazy too. A little more drawn out. Like they go back and forth from being the more punky side of like death metal to the more like a little borderline doom in parts. Um, Here, there's one. Oh, Ice Stain Kurgan is good too. All right, pick number 13. Let's see. How we doing out there? What you guys drinking tonight? Thanks for all 6 people who are joining in currently. Um, so from 13, we're going to number 12. We got Night with Voices of the Cronian Moon. And speaking of just interesting albums and um, just a unique piece of music, this Night album is fucking kind of weird. It's you're basically take a traditional like heavy metal backbone, like maybe a little bit of thrash, but mainly this like traditional new wave of heavy metal backbone. And then you add this vocalist who I swear is doing his best to sound like, you know, what I what I envisioned this wraith like figure on the album cover to sound like. He's got this like raspy, like almost. I heard Necrotic Nick from Thralls of Metal describe it as it's the ghost of Lemmy Kilmister, like his voice, and it's just very, very unique, very, very special. I mean, and it really lends itself to the music in certain songs for sure. Like if you really close your eyes and just you're listening to it, it sounds like this specter, this wraith of death or whatever he is speaking to you. And especially on the title track, kind of, or track two, Crony and Moon, it it's chilling. It's fucking chilling. The greatest strength of this album, which is the vocals, of course, is also unfortunately the weakest link of the album. The vocals are kind of one one dimensional. It's just that ghost of Lemmy just rasping at you the whole time, and it doesn't go up, it doesn't go down, it just stays kind of like that, like a croak, if you will. So it kind of wears its way towards the end, but there's some other good songs, of course, besides Crony and Moon. Last Scorpion track 3 is pretty fucking awesome. Um, the Trident, the closing song, is pretty good too. So I'd recommend Night, and if anything, I would really recommend just keeping an eye on them because I think if they got some more vocal variation in there and maybe a little more creative songwriting, they could really be something special, like next album maybe. So, all right, Rick's got eggnog. Cheers, man. Did you spike it or? I mean, eggnog is heavy enough alone. I mean that shit will clog your arteries right there. All right. I mean not not that beer's any better. But let's see. Number 11. And this is a band I didn't think I would ever end up featuring on my list or ever truly like kind of click with. But this year, partially due to there are other YouTubers talking about them over and over again, and partially due to a deep dive on Jeff, not Metal Madness at 66 channel, but Gas Masks and Hand Grenades channel. A deep dive he did on this band. Number 12 is Voivod with their album Synchro Anarchy. This is just fucking weird and entertaining. It's definitely extremely alien. It fits the album cover. Still being fairly new to their releases. I don't know how it stacks up in the discography. I only know what I've heard from other people, but from what I've heard of this band, this is my favorite. So I mean, and truthfully, I've only heard Target Earth and Nothing Face, so it shows how much I know. But this is just fun, wonky. Just it makes you feel uncomfortable, but you're hooked at the same time. Um, dude, Planet Eaters is fucking disjointed as hell. Mind Clock is another great song. My favorite is track 8, Quest for Nothing. That might be the thrashiest and most metal of the songs on here. And as soon as I'm just mentioning it, I hear um, I guess Snake yelling, "You're on a quest for nothing," just right through my brain. It's fun. I'm hoping to finally like click with this band so I can start buying their back catalog more, you know. But currently, this is my favorite, and I'm just glad to have another amazing band to dive into. So there you go. Number 11. Sorry, number 11. So we're into the top 10 now. So let's see. For number 10, we're switching from CDs finally back to LPs, and we're talking about Time Wave Zero by Blood Incantation. Is this an EP? Is this an LP? I don't know. But like the scope and the magnitude of this album is enough for it to be an LP, in my opinion. And honestly, I'm talking about like the scope and magnitude of not just the music within, but of the band choosing to do this after ooh their previous album. I just literally just forgot the name. Um, but like to go from just crazy off the wall, like schizophrenic but intense death metal, to just pure like just ambient. It's fucking ballsy, dude. And you just gotta love how they did it too. Like, look at this. Look at this inner sleeve. Fucking awesome. Um, Also have to highlight the color of the vinyl too. This translucent orange perfectly matches with the music. It's just somehow it's entertaining and engaging, but it's just chill at the same time, and like the perfect kind of background music where you don't have to fully pay attention, but it causes you to pay attention. Rick with the pun. We got. I was in the mood for this album earlier today. Actually, I was playing Bananagrams with the girlfriend and listening to this in the background, and I think it helped me focus. But I want to highlight Matt from the Dark Path, who's talked about this album a bunch, and I think he sells it pretty well, saying that this is like the aftermath of the previous albums, and this is like at just the end of the universe. You're just like at this point where there's just a void, there's nothingness, but yet there's like there's something, there's this red glow, and this is the feeling of that just like kind of wafting over you. It's crazy. I don't know. I think I prefer side 2, Ia, over side 1, but they're both they're both awesome. Yeah, Brian, I remember seeing that video. I'm glad I'm glad there's a lot of fans out there of this one, because dude, the orange is the best part. Or it could be a peach. I don't know. It could be a peach or a clementine. So yeah, number 10. So from there we're going to number 9, and this is also a fairly interesting and unique album for the year, and kind of in general. We're back to CD. This is the band Final Light with the album Final Light, of course. And when I say band, I guess I don't necessarily mean band. It's a collaborative pop project between the frontman of Cult of Luna and the guy from Perturbator. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, you know? Like, and honestly, the album cover is cool. I like that. It makes me think of Interstellar, that movie, that Matthew McConaughey Nolan film. Just in just the darkness of trying to travel through outer space, and honestly, it makes me think of Cult of Luna's previous collaboration with Julie Christmas Mariner, which one of my favorite albums ever. But this one is interesting because it's like, imagine the vocals from Cult of Luna and the aggressive but slow burning approach of latter Cult of Luna, but with like a heavy, like industrial, but more like techno backing, you know? Like, um, it's just weird. It's weird to listen to, and it's also weirder to figure out that what Perturbator is doing is he's just recreating the song structure and instruments of Cult of Luna for the front man, which let me see if I can find his fucking name. But he's basically creating all the instruments and stuff that the front man would need to basically make it a Cult of Luna record. So I mean that's where it excels, is that it's like unique for that Cult of Luna sound, but it's also, I think, where it kind of fails a little bit because it's like, man, you got the guy from Perturbator here, and all he's doing is playing the music that Cult of Luna would normally play. It doesn't necessarily jump out as anything unique, you know, like compared, you know, in their discography. Like, you could make the argument that Mariner is like a landmark of an album, but this one, and maybe I'm judging it wrong because I'm looking at it from the perspective of it being Cult of Luna, where it's not. It's called Final Light, and that's what it is. But it sounds so similar to Cult of Luna, it's hard not to. Anyway, it's still a fucking awesome album. Here, I haven't mentioned any songs because, of course, it doesn't have anyone listed on here. Let me find some of them though, so I can mention. Oh, In the Void, track number 2. It's fucking killer. It Came with the Water has this like slinking, and I want to call it a riff, but it's not a riff because it's the Perturbator guy, you know. And it's just, it makes your skin crawl, but at the same time, it just propels the music forward brilliantly and gets stuck in your head, you know. And then the title track, Final Light, Into the Fall of a Giant, probably the two best songs on this album. So killer album. Number 9. I think I'd give it like, I haven't been doing any ratings for these, but like just to kind of clarify, like number 15, that's like an 8 out of 10, and this is we're about an 8.6 out of 10 for Final Light. And Rick, this is, I got this one off of Amazon. It was like right when it came out. I saw it was on there for like $13 and fucking ordered it. I mean, you know, say what you will, fuck Jeff Bezos, I guess, but it comes in clutch sometimes. All right. So from there, this is an album that was a latecomer for the year, and one that I actually just got in the mail today. At number 8, we're talking about Conan with Evidence of Immortality. And also look at that album cover. Like, that's a fucking sick album cover. Probably one of my favorite that Conan has done, probably since the one with the snail, you know. I'll be honest about Conan. They are one of those bands that I've always liked, but they've never really clicked with me. You know, like I loved Blood. I liked Blood Eagle when it came out, and maybe because it was always hard to find, and definitely always hard to find for a cheap price. I never picked it up, and like the same could be said for their future albums. You know, like Volt Thrower is a great song. Um, Revengeance is a solid album from what I've heard. But this one, I think this one is of a different ilk from their earlier material, or at least their last three albums, which are the ones that I'm most familiar with. You know, like this one has that classic Conan sound, just that wall of riffs, that just sludge wall of riffs, and the barking like warrior barbarian vocals just raining over top. But then there's some just unique experiments with it, and really some of the best riffs and most memorable songs that I've ever heard them write. You know, um, like let me just drop some of the songs. So first off, track two, Levitation Hoax, into track three, Ritual of Anonymity, is fucking amazing. Fucking amazing. Levitation Hoax is probably my favorite Conan song I think I've ever heard. The riffs on that song is just insane. And about halfway through, it changes it up, slows it down, but makes it groovier, killer, and then it seamlessly transitions into Ritual of Anonymity, which is just awesome. Also, would recommend Righteous Alliance, and that one almost has a little bit of a Neurosis sound to it, which I really enjoy. You know, but then, and honestly, this is probably what sealed it as an album that I needed to buy. And this is actually an Amazon pickup too. Sorry, Rick. Uh, but the closing song, Grief Sequence, is crushing. Like second favorite one on the album after Levitation Hoax. It's just plodding and slow, but then it builds this atmosphere and keeps building it, and then it goes from just the guitar riffs and just crashing drums into these synths that kind of slowly get layered on, and it becomes more synth heavy, and they're more like 80s sounding synths, like almost like these horror synths. Like I could see them, being a part of the Fog, or like other John Carpenter stuff. And it just builds and builds until those synths just overtake the song, and it's awesome. And yeah, I this is probably my favorite Conan album for sure. So glad Brian picked it up. All right, so that was number 8, I believe. Yes. So now we're on to number 7. We got Temple of Void with their album Summoning the Slayer. Another fucking cool album cover. Look at that thing. And it's one of those where it if I can open it up properly. It follows throughout the whole thing. That's like a flag or something waiting to be made right there. Check it out, Callan. I'm assuming you're talking about Conan. Yeah. I could see you enjoying that. Yeah, but this thing is another like crushing and really just killer death doom. And when I say death doom, I don't mean like an autopsy death doom. I mean like a My Dying Bride. And this is kind of like newer for Temple of Void to start to delve into that, Like I've really enjoyed watching this band kind of evolve throughout their discography from their first album, was it the Paranormal and Supernatural or something of Paranormal and Supernatural, to the following two, and the World That Was, which was their previous one. This one like takes that World That Was experimental formula, and I think perfects it. Like I think I definitely like this one a little bit better. Like the songs stand out a little bit more. Like there's a sequence of 3 songs, Death Touch into Engulfed into a sequence of Rot, which it's just perfect. like all the way through, you know. Um, Death Touch with that like eerie, creeping melodic chorus that just gets stuck in your head, you know. Engulfed just has like these pitch shifted vocals and like almost immolation, like burning guitar to it, and then a sequence of Rot has like just a cool plodding bass line and a killer riff that just stretches right over it and gets instantly lodged in your head, you know? So for those three songs alone, I would recommend this album, and that's probably why this album is here in the list. Um, the Transcending Horror is cool, and then the ending song, Dissolution, is a little controversial as it's more of a clean singing, like folky ambient, like outro. And I admit, like in the context of the album, it's kind of a wet fart, honestly. Like it just it doesn't do it service at the very end. Like I think they could have moved it to after a sequence of Rot, because after those three killer songs, there needed to be a break between that and Hex, Curse, and Conjuration, because that's like the weakest song in the album, and I think it's mainly because of the placement after those three awesome songs. So I think Dissolution right there would just make this album flow a lot better, you know? So yeah. I don't know. Still an awesome album. I think this one would rank uh maybe third, second or third in their discography. But I'm glad we got some fans. We got Rick, who's known him since the demo. Uh I'm not saying I could, contribute a lot, but I would be honored to be a part of a 420 just anything. So thanks, Callan. I do love some sludgy riffs. All right. So from number 7, let's go to 6, and this is almost like a revisit, if you will. I'll be reiterating some things that I said earlier in the video. Uh, we're going from Final Light to I dropped my beer can. Cult of Luna, which of course is the frontman's um, from Final Light main band, who I'm sure everyone knows. This is the Long Road North. Cult of Luna have been on an interesting trek of recent years, honestly. Like they joined Metal Blade after releasing Mariner and released Dawn of Fear, I believe in 20. I want to say 2018 or no 20 maybe 2019. Um, and then they released an EP on their own label, and now they're back on Metal Blade to release, this one, The Long Road North. And it's a fucking awesome album, and it's still killer quality Cult of Luna. But it might be one of the weaker albums from them that I've heard. Like A Dawn to Fear is not topping A Dawn to Fear. It's definitely not topping Mariner, you know. Cool packaging, of course. Um, it's not even top. It's not topping Vertical either, which what that came out in 2012. That was like their more industrial style post metal. This one to me sounds like if you could think of Cult of Luna by the numbers, this one might be the album. And like initially, I think I was actually disappointed, and I didn't think it would get this high on the list. But after kind of sitting with it a little bit more and thinking about the concept behind this album and the concept behind even like the title, The Long Road North, it sits better with me. I mean, this one is about the journey, this fucking album. It's not about the destination, it's not about the beginning, it's not about the middle, it's not about any part in between. It's just about the journey, the ongoing, continual chipping away at you journey through life, through decisions where you're wondering like if I made the right thing, like what's going on. Just the indecision of that journey too, I think. And it's got amazing moments in it, and it's just absolutely devastatingly bleak throughout. It's it is what it is, and I think it is what it should be and was meant to be. It's documentation of a band who is well into their um, middle of their career, if not like you know end of middle or something. I don't know. It's the middle of the middle, but you can just definitely hear the creative struggle that is in this album. But there's some awesome songs on here. Track one, "Cold Burn," is pulverizing. It's got this like kind of noise that reminds me of the commercial for Inception, like of the Christopher Nolan film. Talking about Nolan tonight for some reason. But the Hans Zimmer soundtrack, it makes me think of that, and it just carries the whole song. That one noise, and it's fucking awesome. Um, the Silver Arc is also cool. And Offering to the Wild is the best song by far. It's uh, primal. It's got saxophone in the intro that really kind of helps segue into when the riff hits, and it's just got killer development through its like long runtime, and an awesome riff at the end. It kind of starts to lose you. Like I could make a video about Cult of Luna's more like ballad tracks, and if it's a good thing for them to do or not. I'm not gonna touch that here, but I will say that the momentum of the album is taken out by Into the Night. Like from An Offering to the Wild into that song, it kind of just gets snuffed a little bit. And then Full Moon doesn't do any services as like an interlude. And then I don't really think they're able to recover that momentum on the final two, the self-titled track and Blood Upon Stone. Still, awesome fucking release by an awesome fucking band. So, cheers to Cult of Luna. And real quick, I gotta make a note. In the background, we've transitioned from Tangerine Dream to this album right here, Ten Horned Beast. This is Hunts and Wars. It's like a droney ambient war themed album. I don't know. This is like the third time I've listened to it. I remember being chill, but I'm picking up more on it right now that it's in the backdrop of this video. It's kind of fucking cool. It definitely is foreboding. All right, so from there, we are finally into our top 5. Man, Brian, I hope you're still in the chat, man, because this one, you and me on this one, buddy. This is fucking Sumerlands, dude. This shit is fucking awesome. This is fun. This is easy listening. This is just epic and just gets stuck in your head. Like, wow. It's like 35 minutes long, and I don't even know if I said the name. Dream Killer is the name of the album. And the first 5 songs are just all perfect. Twilight Points the Way has that killer chorus with their new vocalist. I forget Brendan Radigan. I don't remember what band he's from. He's from a different band. Fuck. But he already shows off his vocal chops compared to the old guy, and he's got it, man. He's got it. And then Heavens Above goes into that more like ballady kind of mid-tempo, Killer chorus into Dream Killer. We're back into like faster, more new wave of British heavy metal, like early '80s kind of style. Like I'm thinking, yeah, dude, this is an '80s album, I swear. And so I was curious if this was your favorite, Brian, or not. Like, this is up there, like to me, it's not quite because, like, I think the first 5 songs really overshadow the last 3. Like I mentioned Dream Killer, Night Ride, my favorite song on the album. It's a fucking Judas Priest song from Turbo, but it's awesome. It's like the catchiest thing. It's got just a cool vibe to it. Um, I just love it. Stuck in my head for days, that song. And then Edge of the Knife, same thing. Now the chorus is stuck in my head. You know, amazing. And it's just cool to see Arthur Rizek, who is like a big time producer right now, like get behind actually creating some music and just see. Just he's actually just a talented musician and all the way around. He's guitars and synths on this. So as I said, my one complaint is like the last three. Force of a Storm sounds like it could be, you know, a weaker version of Dream Killer or Edge of the Knife. The Savior's Lie is actually pretty awesome. Um, but like it's still like almost too slow throughout the whole run. Like I think that one of the three is the best and probably is up to par with the first five, but maybe it's just where it fits in the album. And then Death to Mercy is cool, but it's just the song that I remember the least on the album. So, um, yeah. So, what is the name of the debut? Is it just Sumerlands? That one is awesome too, and I really like it. And I think I actually like individual songs better on that one, Kellen. But this is just a more consistent album overall. Like I think the song "The Seal" and "Guardian" off of that debut is better, but like this album overall is better. So yeah, I mean the debut is awesome, and I think if you're thinking of the new wave of traditional heavy metal, and Kellen, you probably already made this argument. It is like one of those moments from that year that was like, oh, this is a separate scene. Because it came out the same year as Armor of Ire by Eternal Champion, and to me that's when it's like, boom, there's this new awesome scene, especially in America, that is championing like traditional and classic heavy metal. But honestly, that's a cool topic in general. But yeah, I would put Dream Killer over the debut for Sumerlands. Like Rick gets the Edge of the Knife is fucking awesome. All right, so from number 5 going to number 4, this is Avaturn or Avaturn. I don't fully know how you pronounce it. This is some crazy uh, technical death metal, but it's dissonant technical death metal. Like think Ulcerate, from Wisdom to Hate era Gorguts, technical death metal mixed with like definitely some industrial touches. Like there's some weird just noises that you would not hear in the realm of death metal. Like some interesting effects and some interesting um, tones. That really adds to the bleakness of it. I mean, this one to me really, instead of being like a death metal album which traps you in a more primitive mindset, it traps you in the prison of the modern world. In the prison of constant surveillance and social media and um, narcissism and skepticism, really. And you kind of end up wallowing there for the whole album. And I mean, it's what it wants you. It's where it wants you to be. It's definitely a disconcerting, slightly uncomfortable listen, but it's fucking just interesting and engaging all the way through. Like it starts with track 1 to Nature and just continues to the very last one, Dream and Lies. I think if I had to pick a favorite song, it would be The Reeking Suns. There's like some really catchy stuff that pops up in that track, and it's not immediately apparent. Like this is definitely an album that you need to listen to multiple times, but after you do, it really starts to stick out with you, like, the certain strengths of it. I'm trying to find the list of who's involved with it because I know Colin Marston, I think, helped program. He programmed the drums on this and did the production, and it's definitely got him written all over it. But there's someone else in this band. I don't want to quote which other band he's from. It does look like Acricoke. I don't know. It does look like that, but it's the music itself is not. It's you'd probably like this one, Rick. This came out on Profound Lore, so it's probably up your alley. Number 4, and with this album, we're jumping from the 8s in my like ranking system to a 9. Like this is a 9 out of 10. Like this is one that will probably easily stick with me. I mean, this one will too, no doubt. I just ranked it a little bit lower for reasons I mentioned, but this one is easily 9 out of 10. So at number 4, Ava Turner. All right. So number 2, and this is or number 3. I don't know how to count. Number 3. We are. This is a newer album that. Well, actually, it's been out for a while, but this is a newer album for me. Like I found this probably like a month ago, and it was one of those where I had to listen to it multiple times. You know, and the first time I listened to it, I was not into it at all. Like, and really, just this band's discography in general is like that. And they just have a discography that's kind of really hard to get into. Callan, if you're still in the chat, I'd be interested in hearing your opinion on this one. This is Bullet House Nord's latest one, Disharmonium Undreamable Abysses. And this one just won me over from that fucking atmosphere, man. It's such a unique album, and honestly, as far as bands trying to create like a unsettling atmosphere that could really recreate fuck yeah. Which dude, Kellen's got a couple of videos about this band on his channel. So he doesn't talk for days, but hours for sure. I'd recommend checking them out. I'm gonna have to watch these because this is probably the first Blood Us Nord to kind of click with me. Besides this one, I've heard Memory of Vetusta 2 and some of the 777 series, and they were good, but like this one actually clicked. I mean, it's number 3 on my list, so this one actually clicked, and I am like fully in love with the atmosphere on this album. Like, it perfectly captures this. I mean, look at this fucking thing. Like, are those eyes? Are those egg sacs? Are those like tentacle pustules? I don't fucking know. It's it's perfect and is captured by this music from track 1. It's eerie and it just sucks you in and it feels otherworldly. Like literally, it feels inhuman and just impossible for me to fully understand. And that's like the Cthulhu and Lovecraftian mythos in a nutshell. And this one, it really feels like it's discussing those entities like Yog-Sothoth and stuff that are like formless, shapeless, yet still exist, just like a bundle of spheres in the cosmos. And every single song just perfectly adds to it. I mean, Chance of the Deep Ones, Tales of the Old Dreamer, That Cannot Be Dreamed. I mean, I'm like listing off every single one off of this album. So, so I'm gonna have to check out 2001 to 2008. So, and real quick, I'm finding out this is the downside from streaming solo is if you gotta fucking pee, you don't have anyone to be here to be like, hey, I will talk. Well, this piece of shit takes a piss. So I'm gonna leave you with this band, Tin Horn Beast, in the background while I alleviate myself. All right, I'm back. So, like, literally, only have 2 albums left to talk about, so I could have like rushed through it, but I wanted to give them a proper time of day because they're definitely my two favorites of the year. So, sorry for the break in communication. Thank you for your patience. So, for the final two, I'll start with No Mas, Consume, Deny, Repent. Um, yeah, this fucking album is just a savage beast, and it's like grindcore mixed with a little bit of hardcore, and honestly, like a lot of like Misery Index style death metal, I would say, and it definitely comes at it, from the context of like Hispanic culture and language and stuff. Like a lot of the names of the songs and stuff are in Spanish, and the lyrics too when you read them. But I mean, that's not the part that really matters. The part is the riffs and then the feeling that you get. Like this album is pissed. It's fucking just angry, and it's very like directed anger. It's like not like a self-destructive or like aimless. It's very directed and probably more like similar to a punk kind of rage than like a metal. Um, and it's just a perfect album like all the way through. There's not one part of this album that is not kick ass. Also, look at this pressing too. Another closed casket activities band and album. Great label. I will continue to watch them in the next couple years. Um, yeah, this thing is just a beast. Like there's you know the grindcore backbone is relentless. The death metal riffage and the hardcore riffage equally, are relentless and space out like just the grindcore to kind of like create like unique individual songs, but then at the same time create that like perfect grindcore effect where it's just you in like a roller coaster and you're just trapped and stuck in for the whole duration of the trip. Thankfully, this is why I like enjoy grindcore. The trip is only 22 minutes, so it's quick. It's one of those albums that you can just like hit repeat over and over again. Um, let's see if I can rattle off some songs real quick. Uh, of course, Manipulate, Consume, Killer Track. It's the opening one. Um, dude, my favorite is Police Brutality. It's towards the end. It's fucking slow and kind of more hardcore, and then it just has this breakdown where the guy shouts, "Just fuck the police," and it just goes crazy after that. Um, Deny Disgrace is a killer song. The closing track, Hypothermia, has this almost like black metal part as it's closing out. And it's fucking awesome. But as I said, the best part about this album and just a great grindcore album in general, which this is a great and probably one of the best ones I've heard in recent memory, grindcore album, is that you're just hooked in and you're stuck on this roller coaster until the very end. Um, of course, Kellen knows more. So the band name comes from boxer Roberto Duran, who was taking such a beating from Sugar Ray. Ah, I did not know that. So I wonder, does that add like the connotation of like, are we throwing in the towel here, or is this like we're not like even at the end of the fight, we're not ending the fight? I don't know. It's because this is a band where there's I think the context of their political sphere and what's going on, in the United States currently would definitely impact their name and impact their lyrics. So yeah, I'd be curious to know more about them. But um, yeah, I gotta get their first EP too. She's also got a. It's a fun nun cover. Nuns have all the fun part too. Yeah. All right, so that was number two out of 15. Hard to believe this is the final album I'm about to talk about here. Uh, dude, thanks for all that's joining. I'm curious. You guys go and mention your favorite albums. Like Callan, if you're there, what's your favorite this year? Rick, Brian, anyone else who's around? I'd be interested in hearing what was the favorite. Unless you got a video that you're about to put out. In that case, you gotta save that shit, you know. But anyway, on to my number one. So I've definitely talked about this one a bunch. And I probably will not stop in future years and in just future talks about this band. This is uh, a band that I think in the rear view is going to be seen as fairly influential, you know, into like kind of a burgeoning scene of um, what do I want to call it? American folk black metal, like US folk metal. I don't know. It's a new interesting thing which is happening with like bands like Black Brain and ooh, Pan American, Pan Native American Front. I don't know. I think I screwed up that name, but I think you can trace this sound back to, of course, probably farthest back to Aglock in America, and then to Panopticon, and then to this band right here, the Chachwin. And this is their album Kanawa Black. Put out through Bind Rune. We got representing Marty over here. Marty did a great job on this. I mean, cheers to Bind Rune for sure. And just love the packaging. Like, just that's high gloss, high quality. Um, the pressing itself is just killer. Like, look at that, like crazy smoky, like wispy merge that we got going on here. And then also it came with a CD, which I have with my other CD, so I can't show it off. But it's probably a great bang for your buck, and please everyone buy this. But like, I can't overstate it enough that this is an amazing album, and I'm not like talking about it because it's put out by Mr. Heavy Metallurgist himself. This is easily the best album of the year. It's like such a balance between subgenres, like I was saying, it's like that. I guess I could just call it American folk metal, but it's got black metal in there. It's got folk instrumentation. It's got death metal. It's got funeral doom in here, and it's got like this crazy neoclassical like acoustic guitar playing that is just phenomenal. It's beautiful. It's emotionally wrenching. Um, the songs are extremely distinct from each other and it just flows incredibly well. It's also like less than 40 minutes or just over 40 minutes, like the whole runtime. So easily digestible and just epic shit. I mean, like Rick and Brian both got my back here on this one. Like Kanoa Black, the title track that opens it off, is just killer. Some amazing riffs right from the get go and tempo changes in the song as well. And then the Murky Deep really highlights the balance that exists between the acoustic parts of the music and like the heavier, like borderline death metal that exists in here. Murky Deep, it's one of those like quick songs that easily segues you into the most beautiful song in the album, I Can Die But Once, which is like an all acoustic, like folk, but maybe neo folk. I don't know. I still don't understand that term well enough to throw it around, but I guess I am. Um, but it's that kind of song. It's beautiful and haunting, and no electric guitars or really like blasting drums, but it's really pushes the album forward nonetheless. And then A Cure for the Winter Plagues, that's the funeral doom song I was talking about. Absolutely crushing. Um, Visions, Dreams, and Signs is an awesome song. Maybe the weakest on the album, but still awesome. Generations of War is my favorite song on the fucking album. And really, I think highlights the uh, sad nature of the release and the historical nature of it, which it kind of, let me briefly talk about the inner sheet, which is a highlight for sure, because it gives a historical context and stuff to the album, because the two members are very historically inclined and they know what they're talking about. I mean, these songs aren't just about anything; they're about actual events that happened and actual Native American events that happened. And Generations of War, I think, is the one that stands out the most of it. You know, um, at the very end, it ends with "Ooh, and every stand is the last," and it just repeats. And I think that's just an epic ending, and it's probably got some of the best riffs on it. And then Across the Divide is a killer closing track. So there you go. I think I've mentioned it enough. That's my number one, and just like that, ran through it. That was 20 killer albums from 2022. Uh, hour and 20 minutes. That's pretty good. Thank you guys for joining. I'll just highlight my commenters here. We got Kellen, Rick, and Brian. Cheers, guys. Y'all have a good night. Anyone else who watched, thanks for checking in. Uh, Stick around to the channel. Rick, what's your number one? Number one. But anyway, cheers, guys. Have a good night. Enjoy your holidays. I'll see you all very soon.